Another option people use when they doing curls, they use the dumbbells, okay?
Mhm.
And they also hold an elastic band.
Okay.
So by the same time, they use the weight, and then when the lever starts becoming vertical with the gravity,
Yeah.
then the resistance curve is stretching, which increases the resistance. And the benefit of that is that you keeping the biceps always under tension for maximum growth. Is that something beneficial?
Look, the first thing that has to be explained is that every free weight exercise has different mechanics, right? So let's just say you were going to apply what you just said to a preacher curl, okay? And you have a barbell or a dumbbell, and you're doing a preacher curl, and you know that when you get on the preacher curl, when you get to here, once your forearm gets to the vertical position, you're at zero.
Right.
If you add an elastic band from that angle over there, and you replaced the resistance that was going away from the weight to the resistance that now being added by the elastic band, you could make an argument that that would make that exercise better, right? The problem is that exercise is already bad because you're getting too much resistance when your elbow is straight, right? So adding resistance to the top of that range of motion does not make that exercise good. It's already bad because you've got too much resistance in the elongated position due to the mechanical disadvantage of your bicep pulling mostly parallel to the forearm when your arm is straight. Okay, so if you were to look at a standard standing dumbbell curl and you go through your normal range of motion, as you would with my little model here. Oops. So when you curl your arm, you'll notice that if you keep your upper arm completely vertical, you won't be able to bend your arm more than that. You cannot bend, I can't, obviously there's something in the way here, but you cannot bring your forearm to the vertical position unless you move your upper arm back, right? So if you're doing a standing dumbbell curl and you do get to that zero position when your forearm is vertical, it's only because your form is bad. It's only because you've allowed that upper arm bone to shift and let your elbow go forward, right? If you use a strict form and you keep your upper arm straight, you will have your mechanical disadvantage at the beginning, which is increasing the resistance, right? You end up with maximum mechanical load when your forearm is parallel to the ground, perpendicular to gravity. And at the same time that's happening, oops, I've got this backward. At the same time that's happening, you've got a perpendicular mechanical advantage happening with your bicep. As you continue on up, yes, you get a diminishment in the mechanical resistance, but your bicep is also losing strength at that point. So what you will discover if you experiment or you observe people is that most people don't keep their elbows back specifically because there's already too much resistance at the top of that movement, even though their forearm has now reduced its mechanical load. So adding elastic load to that exercise is ridiculous because you already know that if you use good form, you've got too much resistance. You don't need any more, right? So this is an example of someone thinking that they've learned a trick, thinking that they've gotten some unique, calculated, insight from someone who, knows what they're doing. And really, it's just juggling. It's just a trick. It's not something that will, in fact, produce a better result than a standing dumbbell curl on its own would.
Simplicity.
It's, look, a long time ago, I used to read articles by Tom Purvis. And I remember he had an exercise that he recommended where he would have you lie down on a flat bench in between a standard cable crossover machine. And you would connect right here. You would connect the ankle strap. Of course, it's really difficult to get yourself situated.
Arms?
He would have an ankle strap right here, and he would have the D-ring back here. Mm-hmm. And then he would have someone connect the cable. So when he's in the down position, he's got the downward gravity. And of course, when he gets to the top, you have zero. But now you have this pulling that's going on with the cable. So you have resistance here. and you have resistance here. And all right, so you could view that as he was creating an opposing resistance at the conclusion of the range of motion that would otherwise be completely gone if you just use the dumbbells alone. Okay, clever, but does it actually produce a result? That's the question, right? And that everyone is looking for a trick. Everyone is looking for, the fix, the resolution to a problem. The fact is, when you get to the arms overhead position, it isn't a problem. It isn't bad that you have zero resistance. If you had a little bit of resistance, like we do when we do the seated cable, right? It's probably, quote unquote, probably a little bit better because you have some opposition, some resistance through every part of that range of motion, even though you can only tolerate resistance at the end very little, right? You don't have much strength there, right? So, but at the end of the day, you have to say to yourself, for all of this hooking up of cables and setting up this, did it make a difference? Did it really produce a significantly better? Could I even perceive any advantage? The answer, in my experience, has been no. For all the, setup and time constriction and all that, I found that particular exercise that I just described did not benefit at all. My pecs did not grow any more from adding a little resistance at the end of the range of motion. It just did not do it, right? The regular decline dumbbell press or flat dumbbell press was good enough, more than good enough. And I firmly believe that. I think that adding resistance to the end of a range of motion is really not very important. It's not very productive.
Okay.